Yes, guys, and welcome back to lesson 8 of the Sales Growth Academy Level 1. Today, we're going to be covering inbound dialing and handling warm calls. Now, in the last session, we spoke about cold calls. In my opinion, and most people's opinion, inbounds are a lot easier to navigate than cold calls. However, if you get very, very good at cold calling, then warm calls are going to be very easy. Now, this doesn't mean that the prospect is ready to buy. Just because they've opted in or just because they've shared some of their information, that does not mean that they are all ready to buy lead, right? So you need to still navigate inbound opt-in calls confidently in order for you to actually progress the prospect to the next level, which is a booked call. So how do we do that? Now, prospects are already in the market for what you're selling, right? But this doesn't mean much, right? Just because they're in the market for what you're selling doesn't mean they're going to buy from you. However, they are most likely ICP. They're aware of your brand. They're aware of your business as a potential solution to their problem. This is a very good place to be. Now, the difference between this and a cold call is a cold call, they have no idea who you are, right? You have no idea that they have a problem that you can solve. They have no idea that you have a solution to their problem, right? It's completely cold. However, in this scenario, like we said, they are in the market. They're probably an ICP. So if you're targeting marketing agencies, if they've opted in, they're probably a marketing agency that has the problem that you solve. And they're in the market for a solution for that problem. And they understand who you are. They're aware of your business. And they're aware that you can solve this problem potentially. However, just because they're in the market for something does not mean that they're ready to move forward with you. Right, and this is a common misconception where people are engaging in warm inbound calls and they just believe that anyone they speak to is going to be ready to buy. So they approach the call in a very flippant way and they're just like, okay, so this is what we're going to do. We're going to book in a meeting, and this creates sales resistance. You need to approach the call confidently, yes, but you also need to be aware that you still need to uncover problems. You still need to qualify them. You still need to make sure that they're a good fit for you, and you need to make sure that you're a good fit for them, right? They may have seen your ads. They may have resonated with this. People buy from people, right? And you are the first person that they're going to speak with. So regardless of whether they've seen your ads and resonated with you, if you on the front lines are not someone that they want to buy from or have a conversation with, then they're not going to move forward, right? So don't be the person to fuck it up. You've got to make it count. You have to be the person that they want to engage with and do business with. So much like when you're cold calling, you've got to show confidence. You've got to be clear. You've got to show clarity. Your prospects have to trust you and they have to feel comfortable speaking with you, right? You have to act like you're talking to a friend here, but obviously in a slightly more professional way. You just need to be calm and confident. And this is the recurring theme for whenever you're on a phone call, right? Whenever you're on a sales call, confidence is key, right? You must frame the call correctly, use an appropriate tonality like we discussed in the last episode, so you don't come across as robotic, right? Now, as long as you frame the call correctly and you have a structure, you position yourself as the authority, you're clear, you're confident, you're having a nice conversation, then you're going to go far with warm calls, right? Because again, they are already bought in. Now, whilst inbound leads are in the market for your offer, like I said, this does not always mean that they are ready to buy. So here's a few frameworks that you can use to handle the different types of inbound leads that actually come through. Because some of them will be ready to buy, some of them will be a bit more hesitant, some of them are looking for information, right? You just have to suss out what inbound stage they're in so you know how to navigate that conversation. So simple. Open up with, hey John, it's Jordan from Sales Growth Club. I saw you downloaded I saw you attended our live mastermind, so thought I'd give you a quick bell. Are you currently in sales or are you just looking to get started? Or what prompted you to look into high ticket sales, right? And that's how you start to get an understanding of what inbound stage they're in. And it's a very simple opener. You mention their name, you mention who you're calling from, why they opted into whatever, like you downloaded our lead magnet, whatever that lead magnet looks like. So thought I'd give you a quick bell. Are you currently XYZ? And this is how you find out what inbound stage they're in. Now, there are a few different inbound stages, and the first one is the research phase. Now, the leads that are in the research phase are simply just exploring different solutions, right? They might be an ICP, but they're just unsure, right? They're probably comparing a number of different options. They may still be figuring out how they can potentially do it themselves. They're maybe not looking to invest in something right away, but maybe they opted in because you have the information and they just want to learn more from the call. They need a bit of nurturing, they need some education. They might not be ready to move forward yet, or they might be ready. But what we need to understand is that they are just in this research phase. So how we have to handle them is their intention is to learn, so our intention also needs to be to learn, right? We need to understand their goals, we need to understand a bit more about their challenges. So example questions you can ask: what are you looking to achieve in terms of plug-in X gap, in terms of solving this solution, or in terms of looking for a solution in this particular area? What are your biggest challenges when it comes to specific pain point, right? Have you tried anything in the past to solve this, right? Would it be helpful if I shared some insight on how others in your situation have gotten results? Because these sorts of questions, you're just trying to identify their current state, right? You're trying to find out what they're looking to achieve. You're trying to find out where they are, what problems are holding them back, what problems are they researching for a solution for, right? If they're looking into you, there's a reason for it. And the lowest reason is research, right? So what are they researching for? Right, if you solve a marketing problem, let's say you're an ads agency, you run paid ads, what are they searching for ads for? Right, okay, so they probably don't have enough leads coming through. Their client acquisition strategy is a bit lacking. They don't have the leads, so they're looking to invest in ads. Okay, cool. So now you get an understanding that they're growing their business, they're serious about it, and they're just looking for ways to generate more leads. So you need to ask these questions just to learn about their goals and figure out their challenges. Now, the next inbound stage is problem aware but hesitant. Now, these leads are very, very aware that they have a problem, but they're unsure about solving it now. Right, so they know it's there, but is it too much of a priority? I don't really know. I don't know whether or not to take action yet. They need reassurance, they need social proof, and they need a low friction next step. Right, they're not going to rush into investing into anything, but they just want to know that, okay, if I'm speaking with someone, can they actually help me? Have they helped other people before? I'm a bit hesitant. I don't want to go there in case I get burnt. I need to know that it's worked for someone else, right? That's your next stage. Now, how to handle those people is you want to build urgency and trust fast, right? You want to show trust through social proof. You want to let them know that you are actually able to help them. And then you want to create that bit of urgency because they're hesitant, right? They don't want to move forward with it right now. They're a bit like, this isn't a priority for me yet, so I want to hold away from it. So you've got to create that urgency by basically understanding the cost of inaction, right? What happens if you don't do something? So a few examples is, firstly, what's stopping you from taking action on this right now, right? Like, they are hesitant. What's causing that hesitancy? Why are they not doing something about it? How long has this been a challenge for? You know, if it's a recent challenge, then that's a reason why they're quite hesitant, because they haven't had enough pain yet. But if it's something that's been challenging them for like 3 months, then they need to actually do something about it. What happens if you don't solve this in the next 3 to 6 months? Which is a very valid answer. Like, if it's a recent problem that they've experienced for the past week, if they haven't solved it in the next 3 to 6 months, it's gonna become a big problem, right? And this creates urgency because it's like, I don't want to wait 3 to 6 months. I'd rather just solve it now so I don't have to face that issue. And if you could wave a magic wand, what result would you want, right? This is just to get an understanding again of their goals, but it also lets them think like, oh shit, like, this is actually a problem. I need to do something about it. Something's been holding me back, and yeah, I need to come up with a solution as soon as possible. So these are the sort of questions you would ask just to create urgency and to build some trust. Now, the third inbound stage is solution aware, but they're not committed, right? So they're aware of the solution, but they're hesitant to make a decision. So they know that this thing is what they need. So they need an ad specialist to come in and to build their ads out so they can generate more leads. They're aware that that is the solution for them. And they're most likely aware that you have that solution, that you can offer that solution. But they just they're not ready to make a decision. They're a bit hesitant. They're like, oh, I don't really want to invest in that. So they need guidance on why your offer is the best fit for them, basically. So how to handle these people is you'll just need to overcome their doubts, right? So a few example questions you can ask is, what solutions have you looked into so far? Get an understanding of their research, of the other potential competitors that are in the sales process with you. What's held you back from making a decision, right? What's the most important thing for you in choosing the right solution? And this is how we identify exactly what they need, and what's held them back from making a decision is going to really highlight the things that they don't want, right? Or the real pains. Like, what's held them back? It could be money, right? It could be the time commitment. Maybe they're looking for a done for you service when the last person they spoke to was done with you, right? Have you seen anything about our approach that stands out? Get them to confirm with you that your solution actually works for them, right? And then once you have an understanding of what's held them back before, you overcome that. Once you know what's important in making the right decision, you make sure your solution has that. If you've seen anything about our approach that really likes, cool, great. But also, is there anything about our approach that you might not like, right? Is there anything about our approach currently that you're aware of that would actually hold you back from making a decision, right? Get those understandings and then overcome them, right? Overcome their doubts. Now, the next stage is they're engaged and interested, but they're price conscious. So they see the value, but they're concerned about the price, and they just need help to understand the ROI. Now, how to handle them is to shift the focus from money to value, right? So a few examples. Aside from the price, is there anything else that could potentially stop you from moving forward, right? And then this is going to highlight the actual pain. If it is just price, cool, you can overcome it. What would achieving 100k months be worth to you, right? Because this is it, right? This is what gets them thinking about the value, right? Their desired outcome. Their desired outcome might not be 100k months, right? But their desired outcome might be losing £10. What would losing £10 be worth to you? You know, it's probably going to be worth quite a lot, because that impacts their confidence and everything else. Have you considered the cost of not solving this problem? Think about the cost of inaction. Would it help if I showed you how others have gotten an ROI on this, right? Social proof. This is how you want to uncover or this is how you want to shift the focus to value, because all of these questions are directed away from the cost or the investment, and they're focused more on what value you're actually able to offer them, so they can see what the ROI looks like. You just want to paint the picture, right? You want to dumb it down, because a lot of the time your prospects are going to be thinking about things that they probably don't need to be worried about, just because they're worried, right? They're stressed, right? And they're making a big decision, and they just need to think about things. And you hear this all the time: I just need to think about it. It's not about thinking about it. It's just about creating the image so that they don't need to think about it. The only reason they need to think about it is because they don't see the image. They don't see the picture, because you haven't painted it for them. And it's your responsibility as a salesperson to paint that picture for them. So once you have the answer to all of these questions, you get the objection, and then you just handle it, right? It's actually very straightforward. Now, the final type is ready to buy, right? They're actively looking for a solution. They're prepared to invest. They just need a smooth buy-in process and quick action. So you need to identify this person very quickly, and you need to cut out all the fluff, because a person in this situation isn't looking for all of the detailed, in-depth discovery. They just want quick action. They want a smooth buy-in process. So the way to handle them is to just close them smoothly and confidently. And this simple questions you can ask is, what's the main reason you're excited about this? And do you have any final questions before you get booked in with my team? Done. Doesn't need to be overcomplicated. What is the main reason you're excited about this? Get them to sell themselves, and then just book them in. And it's that simple, right? And that's how you handle all of those different inbound types. Now to common mistakes and how to prevent them. So the first mistake that a lot of inbound dialers make, and to be honest, this is the case for DM conversations, cold calling as well. These are common mistakes. The first one is interrogating leads. Now, you do not want your sales conversation to become an interrogation. And the way it becomes an interrogation is if you're just purely focused on asking questions. Now, obviously, in a sales conversation, you want to ask questions. So this can get very confusing. You need to ask questions, but you don't want to just ask questions in an interrogative way. So it's like, what's your name? What's your favorite color? When was you born? What day was you born? What's your mother's maiden name? Like, that's something you would be questioned in a police station, right? Like that's how they question you, right? They just ask you questions because you're forced to answer, and then naturally you feel uncomfortable in that situation. So make sure you're not just asking questions, right? It needs to be conversational. So refer back to the ARA method that we spoke about, and acknowledge, relate, and ask. You want to really open up the conversation with acknowledgement. You want to relate back to them or their experiences or other experiences you've had with other conversations you've had, and then ask them a thoughtful question, right? So don't just go down the interrogating mode. Make it conversational. Now, the next problem is not qualifying leads properly. So booking meetings with unqualified leads, right? Now, this is only going to solve vanity metrics. That is it. Because if the calls don't close, you don't get paid regardless. So booking unqualified meetings, yes, you can go on your social media and you can say, I booked 5 meetings today, or I booked 10 meetings today. Look at me, I'm one of the best setters out there. But if they're all with unqualified leads, you're not making any money. So what's the point? Right, so you need to ensure that you're asking the right qualification questions, so you actually qualify people out and don't book in the qualified leads, and you only book in qualified leads. So ask questions like, what's your biggest challenge with this problem right now? What's your ideal outcome? If you found the right solution, are you willing to invest in fixing this? Now you know that they have the problem you can solve. They have the desired state that you can provide a solution for, or provide a direct path to, and they're willing to invest. You understand that they are willing to invest in fixing this problem. If one of these is a no, then they're probably unqualified, and there's no point booking them in. Now, the next problem is sounding robotic, right? Because you're on a call, this is not like in the DMs where you can just kind of adapt your tonality through ChatGPT, right? There's no escaping this. You're on the phone with them. So if you come across robotic, then this is going to have a negative effect on the conversation. So you need to adjust your tonality throughout the conversation. In the same way we spoke about on the cold call training, you want to use a combination of a friendly tone, a curious tone, a concerned tone, so you can have a natural and engaging conversation. So this is something you want to do. Do not come across robotic, and also going down the interrogation mode and kind of just asking questions is what's going to make you sound robotic too. Have some character in your voice. Up, down, be real, be authentic, be yourself. Act like you're talking to a friend. And then finally, incorrectly identifying their inbound type. Right? Now, this is a problem. If you identify someone who's in the research phase as someone who's ready to buy, then you're going to be missing out on all of the education needed for someone in a research phase, and kind of just going down, okay, what excites you about this? And they're going to be like, I actually don't know. I guess it's pretty good, but I'm still just kind of looking. And then you try and book them in, they're going to be hesitant. They're going to be feeling like they're going to get sold to, and they're probably not going to turn up to that call. So it's really important that you use your initiative and identify which of the 5 inbound types they fall into. And it's important that you tailor that conversation specifically to align with their needs and their decision-making stage. Because if they are in the research phase, they're not going to respond like someone who's ready to buy. They're not going to respond like someone who's solution-aware but hesitant. You need to be able to identify that properly. So go back, look at the questions you need to ask, open the conversation in the right way, and just be aware of the conversation you're having. Be aware of the type of person you're speaking to, and be genuinely curious to uncover that. Now, how to close, right? This is similar to a cold call, and just like DM setting, cold calling, it needs to feel natural, right? Your close needs to feel like the natural next step. So you shouldn't be going for the close with inbound leads if you do not have their current state, their desired state, and their pain, right? But once you do have them, then you can progress to a close. But you have to do it with confidence, and you have to do it with authority. So here's an example. It sounds like there's a strong alignment here. The next stage is to get you on a call with our head of sales, or our head of, head of operations, or you can say, our head of talent, who will walk you through everything in detail and answer any questions you have. We have availability tomorrow and Thursday, which works best for you. Now, the reason this works, it sounds like there's strong alignment, right? You've identified the fact that you have a solution, they have a problem, and you're able to solve it. The next step is to get you on a call with our head of operations. Now, you want to make this title not seem like a closer, right? Because then they're going to be sold to. You want to make it seem like head of ops, head of talent, someone who's going to walk them through the process and hopefully onboard them into the program, who will walk you through everything in detail and answer any questions you have, right? It's a clear statement as to what that call is going to be about. And then that close, that call to action, we have availability tomorrow and Thursday, which works best for you. Again, it's a 2-option close, right? The moment you say, would you like a call? It brings in no. So you have to say, we have availability this day or that day, which works best for you, or when works best today or tomorrow, right? You want to use language that doesn't bring no into the equation. It just completely eradicates it, and it gives them an option that they have to pick from. So that's how you close it, and you would do something very similar in a cold call environment as well. So the growth challenge for this session is just to role play using this structure to refine your approach. Now, I mentioned in a cold call session to create a framework, a cold call specific framework to role play. I want you to do the same for an inbound. Now, it's going to be very similar to your cold calling framework, but just adjust the openings a little bit more and focus very specifically on a different buy-in type. So have different questions, different discovery questions that you would ask to people of a different buy-in type, and then have a partner act out each inbound lead type. So have a role play partner be someone in the research phase, someone who's hesitant but solution aware, someone who's ready to buy, and all of the other 5 types, and guide them through the conversation towards a confident and natural close, right? Role play the shit out of this, okay? Cold calls and inbound calls, just role play, because that's how you're going to develop, right? There's only so much information you can have on this. It's practice, it's confidence, and it's clarity, which is going to see you win in the call-in space. So create your framework in alignment with your cold calling framework and just role play it over and over again. Even when we're not having the role play calls, find someone in the community and role play with them as much as possible, because it's this which is going to change the game for you and really improve your abilities. So that's everything for today, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Peace, guys.